Well, here I am coming to you from a Dodge Charger SXT. And you'll notice I'm getting 21.6 mpgs. And that's not bad. It's not great, but at the same time, when you consider the fact that this has a nice V6 engine in it, and it costs just around $30,000 and change, it's a decent vehicle. Now, I know this is the LX platform, so it's a lot like my Chrysler 300. It is and it isn't. So this is a different dash, although the layout is very familiar if you're coming from a 300, like all this instrumentation and stuff. There's just a little different theme to it. One thing you notice on the passenger side is there's a large binnacle here, and then it kind of stretches out over the air vents. It doesn't do that in the 300. The 300 feels a little bit more, I don't know, just more defined. And the passenger space looks larger on the 300 than it does here on the Charger. But the point I want to make here is I've been driving this car for a few days now over the weekend, and it's very quiet, it's very robust, and it makes total sense to me why the Dallas Police Department or the Richardson Police Department drive these things. They're very well, they behave well. They're capable, and they handle, and they're not a 4-cylinder turbo. They're actual V6 engines. So while it has the look of the higher powered Chargers and things like that, it's basically bone stock. And I'm returning it right now, but what I wanted to do is do this quick little video on it because I've been driving it all over the place. I know I'm low on fuel. The rental car company said, you can return it low, so that's what I'm going to do. You give me the opportunity, I'm going to do that. But I just wanted to go over this with you because the only key difference here is there's a rotary knob on the 300, and in the Charger, it's this standard gear selector. And I find myself looking for the knob, to put it in park and reverse. I like that I can rest my arm here, and I've complained about that in the 300, like there's nowhere to put your hand. But at the same time, I prefer the knob. It just feels, more, I don't know, it's a natural thing compared to this T-shifter. And of course, we get the same Uconnect system, and one thing is that when I got in this, I was like, oh, I'm going to miss the Beats stereo from my 300. And yeah, I kind of do. But at the same time, I'm not disappointed because this actually has the Alpine system. You can see it probably right there on the tweeter. There's an Alpine logo. So this isn't a slouch as far as performance. It's not a slouch on the fuel economy side. It's very comfortable. As you can tell, it's quiet in here. Very quiet. And on these terrible Dallas roads, you don't really notice how terrible these Dallas roads are. Obviously, my 300 has the performance suspension, but you'll notice here, this has Michelin MX or MXM or some kind of Michelin tires. And look at the PSI these things are at. If you put those kind of PSIs, that's not proper English. If you put that kind of tire pressure in the 300 with the performance package, you're going to regret it. And this thing, I didn't even know that they were at 42. So it could be the tire itself, the Michelin's being a little bit softer, but the ride isn't terrible. It's not bone jarring at all. And it has great stopping abilities. The pedal modulation, meaning that the effort you put into the pedal is kind of like exact for when you're actually going to get stopping power out of the stopping. It's quite a performer in my mind. So while some people may dismiss this as, oh, it's just a rental car, and technically you're right, because this one is, the Charger and the LX platform in general, even if you don't have the baller budget, like for a 300 like this guy does, or maybe like some of us do, the substitute for a 300 is the Charger, and some people just prefer the Charger in general, and I completely get it. Sitting here, I feel like this is more like, weird to say this, but it feels more like a BMW would. The Charger does lay itself out pretty well. Like it can corner well, it grips, it stops, it does everything well, especially for a rental car. especially for a rental car. This is probably one of the best rental cars you can get away with, even though you're not allowed to smoke in here. And I didn't. That's not a Churchill or a Lancero. It looks more like a cigarette to me, but I didn't smoke in here, and nor do I smoke in cars. But that's the general appeal here. This thing isn't bad for a rental, and it's not bad if you have a budget. And let's just say you're looking at a Camry with a 4-cylinder and a panel roof and all that. Here you can get a very capable, well-handling, V6 powered American car. And the V6 sounds great when you get the windows down. I only put 87 octane in here, but this V6 has like a low rumble to it, almost like a V8 would. It sounds intimidating at you know, when you're idling through the parking lot, stuff like that. It's actually an interesting vehicle all around, especially if you're limited on your budget, or maybe you need something for a commuter car. This should be on your list. I don't know if it's on the top of your list because there's no leather and there's no vented seats and stuff like that, but it all depends on what you want. But as far as a rental car, and I don't really review rental cars, this is actually the first one I've ever done. I just had to do this video before I take it in and pick up my car. But I just wanted you to know that the Charger is a good car, even in the base bone stock, like this one is. Bone stock, it's actually decent. Good ride quality. And there you go, that's the 300. Oh, another thing too is people kind of keep a distance because this car is white, but it also kind of looks like a cop car. So with that cop car look, people are kind of like cautious, like, oh, maybe I shouldn't be speeding and maybe I should use my turn signals and this and that. And that's a good thing, but it's also just a little bit annoying because people do slow down. I've noticed that like everyone around me, when they notice me behind them, they hit their brakes. So they're not like slamming on the brakes, they're just like, oh, I'm gonna slow down and do the speed limit now, which is fine. But at the same time, it's just kind of like, how many brake lights are you gonna see on your regular commute? I mean, just looking through here, it's not that different. Oh, well, that's probably because we're slowing down. Yep. But the V6 pulls quite well. You got to get on it really hard to really get some gusto out of it. It's not like an all-out BMW performer. That's not what I mean. I mean like the just overall feel of it. It's actually a lot more solid than you'd think a Dodge or an FCA product would be. But that's this LX platform. It's pretty damn solid. And the V6 performs quite well. So even if you can't afford the V8 on a budget, although the V8's only $3,000, you gotta sport the $3,000 and get the V8. But if you can't, or if this is the only thing that's on the lot and you gotta get something today, this is decent all around. It's a great all around performer, and who doesn't want that on their team? Anyway, thanks for watching. This is the Dodge Charger SXT from Enterprise, of all places, only because I took my car in for service. The windows are getting re-tinted, and I've got this for a couple days, and I figured I'd share it with you. New Car Spin, Brian, please like, subscribe if you haven't already. I've got a lot of cool stuff coming. I can't tell you about it, but it's on the way. And I will see you in the next video. If you're bored, check out my playlists, because I do have a lot of playlists on FCA. I have the LX platform. I've got Audis. I've got track drive experiences. I've got a lot of different stuff. So if this is your first time on my channel, thank you. Please leave a like, comment, subscribe. I read all the comments, by the way. So if you're ever wanting to be entertained, read the comments section. Any of my videos are pretty entertaining. I do my best. And thanks for watching. See you later.